Hello and welcome to day 9 recap of the Karen Reed trial. A day in the name of the Alberts and in the name of Fairview 34. The defense got their go at Julie Albert, and most of it was again to try to shift the timeline of when Colin Albert returned home. Because the defense really wants Colin Albert to be at Fairview 34 because there is some kind of beef between him and John O'Keefe. They shifted the timeline so far that when Chris Albert was on the stand, you could say Colin might have been home 12:30, 12:45-ish. And now Julie Albert, who came off very defensive, very angry, uh, she had to admit that, yeah, that 12:10 timeline she gave her husband didn't match up. And yeah, that was just some things that didn't line up with Colin Albert. So he could clearly have with been within the house when John appeared at the house. We also went back into her relationship with Courtney Proctor, the sister of the lead investigator, because of course everyone knows everyone. And she's been calling Courtney 67 times over uh, a couple of months, and she said, "No, that's not that much." And yeah, we just talked about something. We didn't talk about the case, and while we might have talked a bit about the case, and we talked kids, and it just came off disingenuous when she talked. And then they went into their pattern of talking around the day that Karen was arrested and arraigned, where they had talked for a long, long time, and it was she couldn't tell you what they talked about. On the day Karen was arraigned in court, they had talked for 27 minutes. She didn't know anything about anything. Um, she also had to admit that after Colin and she was or she was interviewed, Colin wasn't interviewed. She phoned Michael Proctor's personal telephone number and talked to him for more than 4 minutes after she was interviewed. Again, what did they talk about? We don't know. But you're showing the jury that all of these people are connected. And as I've said in most of the trials I've covered the last half a year, it doesn't matter what the law or the evidence say. It matters what the jury believes. If the jury believes there's a massive cover up going on, all of these good old boys from Canton and the state police and Boston PD are in cahoots, that's enough for the defense to make them believe that someone else might have done it. It's Julie Albert. Well, nothing super destroying again, but again, not a bad witness for the defense. I'm We're 9 days in, and I can't remember other than firefighter McLaughlin, who stated, I heard her say 3 times, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Didn't write a report, didn't tell anyone, didn't tell a doctor. Other than that, really can't see how bad it's become for the defense. But again, it's up to the jury to determine that. And we will have Caitlin Albert, the acquaintance of McLaughlin, on the stand sometime next week, where we will bring in all those pictures of them together. So again, where's the defense going? I have a big problem to with figuring out what's happening in this case, because after Julie, we had Nicole Albert, we had Brian Albert, the residents of Fairview 34. Again, it sounded like they had rehearsed much of the same story. but also there was some big discrepancies in their stories. The only thing um, that you can say was constant was no one saw anything bad happening between John O'Keefe and Karen Reed. Everyone said, "Well, we didn't know them that well," and but there was nothing going on. No one saw any drinking, heavy drinking. At this point, I think they would have a hard time even proving her DUI if the defense have a halfway competent expert to tell you, well, the way they did the estimation of her alcohol level, it's um, it's too inaccurate to be sure. Some of the things that I noted with Julie Albert was she had no explanation for sorry, Nicole Albert. She had no explanation for why she had two calls from Jen McCabe answered on her phone for 7 and 9 seconds in the morning. She claimed she didn't know it. She claimed that no one answered it, and they got a good hit in on her because they said, "You didn't answer the phone." No, but you can see on the cell bright that the phone was answered for 7 and 9 seconds. Yes. Did Brian answer the phone? And there was objections over all of this. But again, you can object all you want. The jury heard what you're saying. And especially the way Lally is running it, he talks for 90 minutes to Brian Albert. What he really got out of it was maybe the last 10 minutes of that had anything to do with anything relevant. The rest is, where did you go to school? Where had you been that night? How's the weather? What car were you driving? He lulls his jury to sleep, and then when the defense takes over, they start going at it, and he's the one providing all the excitement with his objection, 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 sidebar, sidebar, objection, objection. His, let me just call it, stupid way of handling it will keep the jury more on their toes when the defense is asking questions. And they talked about Chloe, and that was another funny little what moment because Nicole Albert said, "Yeah, we disclosed who got Chloe," and the defense said, "You did what?" Yeah, we told where Chloe was because we sent her to a lady in Vermont, and we met her halfway. Who sends their beloved dog to a different state and meets the lady halfway? Vermont is not that far away. You can drive there, make sure the house is okay. See, this lady has everything under control. No, they met her halfway, and but she stated that they had disclosed at what address Chloe was. If the state knows this, there was a motion to produce Chloe that wasn't fulfilled. If the state knows where Chloe is and they didn't provide her to the defense, I would think that's a Brady violation. That's a big problem for the state. But it seems like Nicole Albert, all these Alberts, I mixed them together, might have been having a little lie poo going into that because even though everyone on the other side on social media is sitting there saying, "Well, they told it at the grand jury." Yeah, they told it. Chloe is in Vermont, but where in Vermont? It's like saying the baker's in Denmark. Yeah, but where in Denmark? Well, you can find me easier than you can find Chloe. But if she have given the name of the woman who got the dog, and the defense haven't got it, so they could go test Chloe, that should be a very big problem. But again, we don't know what they discuss at sidebar. So either she's lying, or the state is lying, or the defense is lying. And I don't think the defense would be hammering down on it with Lally, objecting to all of it, and not on redirect say, "Is it correct that you told us she is at Mountain Plaza 45? Yes. You provided this information at this hearing and this piece of paper that the defense was given on the blankety blank on blank." He didn't do that. But that's a big problem in my eyes, and it just again makes them seem shady. Maybe there's nothing in it, but the jury's sitting there thinking, why was that such a big problem? Just tell them where the dog is. If there's no problem with the dog, let them test it. Let them test the teeth, the claws, everything. Can't be any problem with that because you're stating the dog didn't do it. Why haven't you disclosed where the dog is? To me, again, that could be a potential problem. We ended the day with Brian Albert, well, the director of him, because again, Lally was running out the time. And when the court ended, Bev was reminding everyone next week, don't waste so much time. The only one who's wasting time in that courtroom is Lally. And she never admonishes him and say, redundant, move along. Every witness has to go back to Adam and Eve. How many kids? Where were you born? Who's your friends? Who's your family? Who's what house do you live in? What job do you have? When you bring up spouses, you don't have to ask about the kids' names, the kids' ages. Bev should say, "We know this information. Move along." It's a clear time waster. So we didn't get to the cross examination of Brian Albert, which is going to be interesting because this 22-year veteran of the police force claimed that he didn't hear first responders outside because he's such a good sleeper, and there's a train going by his house, so he doesn't wake up with loud noises. Come on, everyone knows when a fire truck running for 10-15 minutes in the street in front of you, you would have noticed. With all the lights going off, you would have noticed. And even if you didn't know, your 6-year-old German Shepherd would have been clawing at the door to get out and find out what happened. Both Julie and Brian Nicole, sorry, and Brian testified they didn't find out anything had happened before Julie was in the, sorry, Jennifer, these names, Jennifer McCabe bust into their bedroom and say, "Oh, um, John's outside in the snow." That's the first they learn about it. That's funny because there's those two calls to Nicole that's picked up, answered, who no one took. Then there's a call for Brian Albert's phone that's not picked up. But they claim that's the first time, and she was hysterical. We heard the 911 call. She wasn't that hysterical outside. She was very calm. Chloe didn't alert to someone running into the through the house and up and into the bedroom. And Nicole Albert said when we came down, Sergeant Lang was at the door. Brian Albert stated when I came down, Sergeant Lang was standing inside our house. Sergeant Lang, we know if the timeline where they said we went downstairs should fit, we know he's on the phone outside on the street. There's so many discrepancies in all of their storytelling. It doesn't make sense. And again, both of them testified that, well, we would interview it in a group setting. That's not normal. Brian Albert is a little smarter. He knows what you should have done. So he said when we went over to Jen McCabe's and was interviewed, I believe that was the second or third time, I was upstairs when everyone else was interviewed. That's just funny because no one else has told that there was a question during questioning. So again, I really, how this got to trial, I don't understand, and how they can keep going. There's so many holes in their story. There's so many problems. They had to explain why Brian Higgins came to their house in the morning, and he stated, "Well, it was because I thought it was important. He knew what happened last night." If someone was found dead on your front lawn, and your buddy, who's only been to your house once, we saw them do the hippo dance in the bar. He's only been to your house once. You find it so important he knows that he should come to your address. I don't know if I would have done that. I would just have called and said, "Hey, buddy, you won't believe this. Do you know what they found outside on my front lawn this morning? It's so crazy. Well, I'm with friends and family right now, and we have to go figure out what happened, and maybe call Karen, find out if she's okay. Yeah, she got section 12. She might have been a little dark in the mood. So Yeah, see you later. Let's meet up at the hospital. Would that be the normal thing normal people do? Or would you say, hey, let's have a powwow at our house and get everyone together at our house? Again, if I was on the jury, I would sit there and think, that's odd. Why did you call a guy who been to your house once? Why did you call him over to discuss the case and talk about what happened to John O'Keefe? You didn't know if he had any relationship with John O'Keefe. You could just call him and say, "Hey, crazy story, bro. Why did you have to have it at your house?" It's one of those things where I really want to find out how the defense is going to attack this because Monday is going to be fire. Brian Albert on the stand for cross examination. Caitlin will come up next week. I will be here Monday, Tuesday till at least next Wednesday. Yeah, the Wednesday after will be Marissa and Jamie running the show, maybe with the hospice just some days because I will be in good old Tennessee and meeting up with people. I will, of course, look into the show, but Monday I will do the full show and then I'll get ready to catch a plane the next day. But thank you all so much for watching this recap. Please do all the things you know.